Right, so upgrade time. I have currently in this PC a Ryzen 5 3600 XT. I am now going to swap it for a Ryzen 9, and this is a 3900 XT. So it goes from 6 to 12 cores plus a little bit of base speed, about an extra 200 megahertz, I think. So plus it's got double the cache as well. It goes from 35 meg to 70 meg. So excellent. And then to cool that, because obviously the processor that's in there came with a heatsink, so that needs to come out with it, because that's going into my wife's PC build when I make hers. So I am replacing it with this NH-U12A, which is rated as being one of the best, or if not the best, cooler that doesn't use liquid. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, now to take the processor out and to take the heatsink off, it's exactly the same as how I put it together, but in reverse. So need to flip it around this way really to get to it, because the processor's at the back there. Take the side panel off. The camera will adjust. Take the side panel off because we need to get to this plate at the back, because we'll need that to hold the new heatsink in place. Take the other side panel off. That's the front panel, so that's coming off as well. And then we can then flip this thing on its side, because it's a lot easier to work on a computer that's on its side than it is to try and do it straight up, because trying to work on it straight up will, well, it's just difficult. Now, screwdriver. I still have my screwdriver out, so let's grab that. There we go. So Phillips screwdriver, make sure it fits, and don't stick it through the motherboard, because if you stick it through the motherboard, you break your motherboard. So first things first, take the old processor out. So unplug the fan, unscrew the screws, and it's good just to loosen them up a bit before going for the final unscrew. So we just loosen them up, and then we'll do this one all the way because it's almost there anyway. And then this one. People like to do opposite sides. It's a good idea because obviously it balances it out a bit. And there you go, that one's popped off straight away. And they're actually not screwed on very far. Then there you go. So you just heard it drop through the case here. That's the back plate that just fell off. And then if I try to remove this heatsink, oh, there we go. It's all of that thermal compound that was with this is now stuck to the CPU there. So what I need to do is find the plastic for this thing. Is it this one? It could be this one. Let's see. No, that probably goes on that side, like that. Okay. Yeah, so we'll put this back together, put it back in its box, ready for when I'm going to use it. And this, does that go like that? I don't know. So put it back in the box if you're putting one away. And then take the processor out, which is just slide the thing to the side and just clip it up, and out it pops. And there we go. Oh, and just be careful you don't damage the little pins in there. Put the processor back into its thing. We can clean it up later and get all that compound off it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, it's nice to keep it clean. So that's the CPU out. Now, this heatsink is a little bit different. You can't just grab it. So here it is here. You can't just grab it here and stick it straight in. You've got to put a lot of mounting brackets in first. and I'm looking at the board, and I'm suspicious as to if it's a good idea to put these brackets in, only because they're made of metal and there's lots of capacitors all over, and I'm thinking if I drop these on there, there's no plastic shield that I can see, which would mean that I'm putting these metal holders directly. Which way around does it go? It's not these ones. It's not them ones. Let's look at the other ones. Ah, wrong ones. Yeah, it's saying, I think it can't be that way. Ah. Well, and this is what you will discover when you get yours. Is that so? It says this side up. Okay, this side up. Well, the distance is straight across there, but there are capacitors in the way. So if I were to put that in, then these capacitors would be in the way. So, I mean, that screw, I suppose, could go there. And then this one here, gosh, I don't think it's going to fit. Ah, and then realization hits. See? There are spacers with this. Now, this is why it's always good to just think about what you're doing and realize when you could be doing something wrong. There are these plastic spacers to put this on, and you think, well, why would you need plastic spacers? Well, they're for the board, aren't they? It all makes sense now. So we have 4 plastic spacers like that. So we've got these 4 plastic spacers, right? So, and we've got some long screws. So what I think we do is we take the screw and drop it in and put the spacer on the screw, and then that then goes into the hole. So we'll do one, then we'll do the other. So drop the screw in, get the spacer, drop the spacer onto the holes, and look at that. Now, no metal touching the motherboard. Genius! Genius! It's almost like it was designed to do this, eh? So that's great. So that's how it will sit. But what we need to do is lift the plate up off of the floor. So just move this stuff over a bit, make some room. Yeah, lift the plate up off the floor, and the way I did that last time was to just raise this up and just rest it on my foot, so I could then grab the plate, push it from the bottom, and then that allowed me to then screw these in. So what I'm going to do is just gently coax that one into the hole, like that. There we go. Get the back plate in position, like that. And then the screws are, so if I'm making it look awkward, it is awkward, right? So take your time, don't rush it. You'll probably have things dropping everywhere, like I'll probably lose one of these screws inside it somewhere. So here we go. That then goes there. And now that capacitor, that was those 2 capacitors that were in the way, are no longer in the way, because they are they've got the spacer, which is now making it higher than the capacitors. Brilliant. Okay, so that one's been thumb screwed in a bit. And then you can then get this here. Now I wonder if that fits on top of that. It does a bit, yeah, good. I can now drop in this other screw into the hole and thumb screw that in. There we go. Perfect, 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 perfect. So what we can do is tighten that down with a screwdriver. There we go. And the same with this one. And it's sort of lining itself up with those two holes, like they're sort of like offset as I'm screwing it down, which is lovely. So not too tight, but not too loose. Okay, perfect. Now do the same with the other one. So we'll grab the screw, and this time I'll put the spacer on top of the little bit sticking out because they sort of just float there like that. So they're now sitting there ready for me to screw these in. So same again, this side up is written on the metal, and this time I don't have to hold the bottom because it's already being held up by the other side, which is great. Okay, so that's that side almost in, and I'll put this side in as well and get that done first. So there we go. So we'll just screw that in, and then we'll give the heatsink a test fit. So before I tighten that down completely, we'll get this one in. Okay, nice and tight, nice and tight, perfect. So let's get the heatsink and give that a test fit, just to see that those screw holes line up, which it looks like they do. So that's perfect. So that's going to go straight on. Yep. So just making sure that there's no particular way round this goes. Yes, there is. So it looks, oh, is there? I mean, it does look like it goes further in that direction. That could just be, yeah. Now if I do it this way round, does it go the other way? Yes, it does. Look at that. Right, so you also have to make sure which way round you've got this heatsink, this particular heatsink, because it's sort of off-center. So you need it so this divot is facing that way. Okay, brilliant. So that's the mounting. Next, we need some of that. How about that CPU? Let's get the CPU out. So just as before with the 36, it's just in a piece of plastic. Just need to find where that triangle is. So we'll get it out nice and gentle, and then we'll drop that in with the holder thing up. Drop the thing in, so it just falls in. If it doesn't fall in, then you got it the wrong way round. Okay, it just falls in. Okay, so that's nice and in there. So and then push it down and just let it clip in. Perfect. So we just need a bit of thermal compound, and this kit comes with it. So we'll open this up. Comes with an applicator. So we just, what do we do? Just unscrew the end. Yep, okay. Now you don't need much of this, okay? Bollocks. Forgot that it was resting on my foot. You don't need much of this stuff because it spreads by itself, okay? So a little bit dollop, and then when the you can spread it out a little bit like this, and it will spread itself. You don't need to you know, spread it about. It spreads itself. Just scrape off the edge of that. It will spread itself under the pressure of the heatsink. But just to be sure, we can just use an edge of spare plastic here, just to spread it around, to be sure, because we don't want any bits where it's not getting, you know. So we can just use a bit of plastic just to spread it around like that. So, and now I'm scraping it off by accident, but that's okay, because there's still loads on there. I mean, it doesn't look like much, but once it gets squished by the heatsink, which is under a lot of pressure, once all of those screws are in, it is going to spread. So that's fine. So let me just put that to the side, and now I'm worried myself. I'm just going to put a little bit more over here, and a little bit more there, just where, but it will squish out. It will squish out. But I don't like to worry, you know. Okay, so now you can put the heatsink on. So the heatsink lines up with the screws, and then we just need to screw the screws onto the thing that says this way up. And don't screw one side all the way down. Screw a little bit each side. Now they are sprung, so you have to make sure that you hold it and turn it at the same time. There we go. Until it's in there. And yeah, so they are sprung to give it a bit of flex, but the screw, you can screw until it stops, and then that will leave the right amount of tension from the top of the spring. See, because it's purposely done to leave a gap of the correct distance for the spring to be at its best. So just screw it until it stops turning, and then it will be at the right tension. So you can see, well, you can't see, but I can see that there's still spring in the spring, but I can't screw the screw any further because it's at the right tension. Okay, brilliant. So that is the heatsink in place. So final part then to fit the heatsink, or this particular heatsink, is to attach the fans to it. And the fans have arrows on to say which way the air is flowing. So for instance, this fan, the air is flowing in this direction, and the clips are here. So I need to have it probably this way up, so the thing is at the bottom. So I need to put this on in a way that it clips onto the fins of the heatsink. So it clips onto the fins. Oh, this is very awkward, but you can't do this while it's off because the screws are underneath where the fans go. Okay, so that's that, and the fan still spins. That's the most important thing. And then the CPU fan header needs to be plugged in, and there's just enough distance in the cable to get round. So I'll just, but I can't see what I'm doing. So, right. So make sure you got the plastic. They've got little plastic things that stick out to let you know. I'm gonna have to get my torch out because I can't actually see what I'm doing. And you know, don't give yourself a hard time. If you've got the ability to light the place up with like a phone or torch or something, do it. Don't do what I'm doing, which is doing it blind, because that's how mistakes happen. Okay, so that is straight in, no issues, fan turns, perfect. So that's one fan header, and then I've got another one here with the arrows pointing. So we want the air to flow this direction, from the front of the case to the back of the case. So both fans need to point in the same direction. So that's what we're doing now. And again, I want the cable to be at the bottom of the heatsink. So we'll just line that up. But, and there's the big mistake there. This heatsink is on top of the memory. You see, it's too big to fit the fan in. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, because it's connecting to the fins, I can have it just a little bit taller. So it doesn't have to be, you know, all the way down. It would be nice to be all the way down, but it can't be because the memory's in the way, and this thing is butted right up against the memory, as you can see. So the only way I could get around that is move the memory over, but then I wouldn't have the memory in the same channel. So it would be slower. We don't want that. So what do? Just move the fan up a little bit. Because it's on a fin of the heatsink, it's, again, use a torch. It again is not a problem. There it is there. So let me just get that one in. Now why is this not going in? I'm not aiming it right. And that's in? Yes, that's in. Okay, good. Good, good, good. So just check to make sure you've done it right. Looks good. So yeah, so this is actually a little bit taller than the you know, it's an inch. Won't make a lot of difference, that inch, because you've got a fan on the other side sucking it through, so it should be fine. And that's it. So all you've got to do is put the case back together and I'll plug it in and see if it works. And that's a CPU upgrade. So you can chuck the top of the case on, and there we go. And it fits. It fits. That's what we want. So CPU upgrade done. So now all we've got to do is try it out, see if it works.